Trump administration has threatened to fire a lot of people, but if President Trump is successful in firing the chair of the Federal Reserve, it could cause a huge amount of chaos in financial markets and our economy. Allow me to explain this to you for a couple of minutes as a business journalist who has seen this movie play out before. I literally was living in the Middle East when President Erdogan in Turkey fired the head of its central bank, and I covered the fallout. High inflation, higher unemployment, and this morning investors are mentioning Turkey and the US in the same sentence to me, and I know that you do not want that. So let me explain why central bank independence is so critical. An independent central bank is sort of like the designated driver at the party. Yes, the politicians inside may want to keep the economic party going for a little too long, but the DD is there to say, hey guys, we gotta wrap it up no matter what anyone else says. No questions asked. We are getting in the car and we are getting you home safely. That's what the Federal Reserve's job is to safely land our economic plane. That's what the Fed has been trying to do. Remember, we had record-breaking inflation coming out of COVID, 24% rise in prices over the last 5 years, and then they have tariff policy coming in. And the White House is saying, hey, you should cut interest rates sooner rather than later because our tariffs might cause inflation. So why can't the Fed just do it? Why can't they cut interest rates because we are going to get more inflation off the back of these tariffs? It would create a slippery slope, and this is where the importance of Fed independence comes into play. Historically, politicians have at times been tempted to juice the economy for short-term political gain regardless of long-term economic pain. And that is where the Federal Reserve comes in. They don't make decisions about interest rates based on anything except for the hard data. This is why this Federal Reserve has not cut interest rates off the back of Trump's tariff policies. Inflation driven by tariffs hasn't hit the hard economic data yet. If it does, perhaps we'll see the Fed respond, but we don't know yet, and neither do they, because they are going to wait until they see it in the numbers to make their move, and that is critical to the economic stability of our country. If our current Federal Reserve were to cut interest rates every time the White House had an inflationary economic policy, what would stop the White House from having those inflationary economic policies all the time? Being apolitical is so important to our current Fed Chair, Jerome Powell, that he wears a purple tie to every single Fed meeting, because he doesn't want to be seen as leaning Dem or Republican. Countries that don't have independent central banks tend to have higher inflation, slower growth, and higher unemployment. Even Trump's own advisors, including Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, have said on the record that central bank independence is critical to a functioning economy and critical to this economy. The Federal Reserve Act of 1913 was literally designed to protect members of our central bank from getting fired. It is not legal to fire the head of the Federal Reserve. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell famously said not permitted under the law when he was specifically asked about this. That has not stopped our president from using words like termination in Truth Social posts about our Fed chair. My goal with all of my content on here is